Hello and welcome to As the World Burns. Today we're going to be discussing some March headlines and doing a part two on that. First up is one that we've been trying to talk about for a little bit. China thinks it should control the Dalai Lama's ring. Find out about that. What do you, so definitively, what do you think if China could control the Dalai Lama's ring?
If it's possible, again, I think I told you this before.
Or I'm sorry,
That's
if
pretty
China.
cool. If it's possible, cool. Do I think China should be able to control people's reincarnation? Maybe, like, But of course, this could also just be that they just mean that they want to pick the next Dalai Lama every time.
Well, that's exactly what it's saying. It will find one of the Dalai Lamas. So I
See,
guess
when
that's what
I
they mean
first
by
heard that, I was
reincarnation.
thinking like, hell yeah, controlling reincarnation,
I mean, that's
choosing your
yeah,
next
I
life.
I love it because reincarnation's been brought up so much lately, and yeah, that just kind of like takes like a left field direction in everything that I've been talking about.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess do you think that China should control who becomes the Dalai Lama
I have
definitively?
no idea, man.
Yeah, I don't
I
know
think
either.
that
I would say that's probably a bad idea.
Yeah, I think that I think it should be the first kid that shows like real crazy abilities. Like it should just be the kid who's like, damn, that kid seems like he's the Dalai Lama.
The
And
kid
then
that
you pick
sits in the
that kid. You
corner and
don't
meditates and gives you really good advice.
Yeah, like but without even like thinking about it. You know what I mean? Like not some kid who's trying to be the Dalai Lama. It should be like you're just walking down the street and you get excellent service by like the most polite kid and he seems to have like way more years of experience than he should. And you just like ask him like, "Hey, like do any of these toys look fascinating? Do any of these toys really call to you?" And bam, you do the test right there.
He walks past some kid that's like drinking from a stream out of his hands, and he just passes him a bowl that he keeps on hand for specific scenarios like this. Just things like that.
Yeah. They should honestly like I think that is there like a group of people? Is there like a group religious organization kind of like with the Catholic Church where they choose a pope? Is there something like that for the Dalai Lama? I assume there is. I feel stupid for asking.
Uh, let's see. The order states the Chinese government should decide Buddhist lamas are authorized to reincarnate. Those authorized carry a special card when they die. Chinese authorities should control the process. That's what they say. For the highest lamas, Chinese rules mandates that more than one possible reincarnation should be identified and cards with their names placed in a golden urn. The current Dalai Lama claims it was used only once, twice for the Dalai Lamas for the 11th in 1838 and 12th in 1857. This was a traditional system that was imposed in 1792 by Emperor Queen Guanglong. Scholars such as Max Oidman, who has written a decisive book on the subject, have found that the system has been in fact used more often than Dalai Lama claims, but only in the period between 1793 and 1825. However, even the period the names introduced in the urn kept being selected by oracles, which is the real traditional method. All right. So basically, the Dalai Lama published a book. Um, the Chinese government probably didn't like that and is responding to it and saying that you know
We're gonna own you in the next life.
we should control China should control who decides according to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, you know they
That's
should.
yeah.
You know.
Did you say they should? I don't
Nah,
know.
I'm
Like
kidding.
I was gonna say, I think it's a bad idea. That's it. That's all I can say on this whole situation. All right, what's the next one we got? Bill Gates gives up on climate change. What's the deal with that?
Yeah, what is the deal with that? Explain that.
This comes from Futurism.com. Bill Gates gives up on climate change. That's enough of that. In decades past, as the effects of climate change slowly become undeniable, some looked to the super rich, the billionaires with enough cash to really make a splash for solutions. They backed green energy campaigns and carbon capture programs to push plastics recycling and climate change messaging. New products hit the market as ethical consumption became the rule of the day. Electric vehicles, solar panels, reusable bags, carbon-neutral dryer balls. By the early 2020s, billionaires had positioned themselves as the masters of climate change policy, taking advantage of their fortunes to become indispensable to environmentalism. Now, however, many of those same billionaires are pulling support at an alarming rate, and Bill Gates, Microsoft founder, the sixth richest man in the world, and alleged sex pest, is the latest among them. It actually says that in the article.
Bill Gates is an alleged sex pest?
That's what the article says, and it even has a link, so let me click that real quick.
I thought people just thought he was like a pedophile or something crazy.
Just for, Microsoft reportedly had to ban Bill Gates from being alone within. Alright, that's another Futurism article for another day, maybe.
Yeah, like tomorrow.
Like tomorrow. New reporting by Heatmap is signaling the end of a major chapter in climate giving. As Breakthrough Energy, Gates' climate change nonprofit the doors on its policy and advocacy office, laying off dozens of employees throughout Europe and the US. Breakthrough's lobbying was central to advancing climate policy through legislation championed by the Biden administration, including the Inflation Reduction Act, the CHIPS Act, and the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law. Though the billionaire's for-profit green energy investments at companies like Arnergy and Mission Zero Technologies remain in place, Breakthrough's belt-tightening will very likely end the nonprofit's grant-writing efforts. That's a major blow to climate nonprofits, and further evidence that, for all their good bluster, the mega-rich never forget their bottom line. Alright, it basically goes on to say that Gates is cozying up to Trump, and that's probably why this is happening.
As soon as he got elected again, you just saw everybody flip. They all got quiet and they all just started lining up to become a Republican.
Mark Zuckerberg pretends to be cool now.
He is cool now.
No, he's strictly pretending.
Dude, he seems like the kind of guy now who's gonna invite you to his bunker.
Oh, yeah, I would totally accept Mark Zuckerberg to invite me to his bunker. I'm putting that out there. I would definitely take that.
You guys got a similar vibe.
Do not never say that, please. We have a similar vibe? Oh my god. No. How?
No, I'm kidding.
I was gonna say, is he the evil me?
He would be like the evil you.
Wow. That's crazy. You're the anti-host and he is the evil host.
Yeah.
Alright, let's see. Some random guy was lying beside the tracks of a train and basically got run over by the train and survived with only like a minor compared to what could have happened. Very weird thing, yeah.
Was he like in the middle between the rails?
He was like lying right next to the rails, like almost like lying with his head against the rails, and all of a sudden the train just came, smacked him, I guess like messed up his like hands, and like his hands must have shielded like him getting like messed up like that bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next up, wild night, an alligator left in a Michigan motel room. Kind of crazy, random, because I don't think there's any alligators in Michigan.
Yeah, I mean, somebody forgot their alligator.
Somebody forgot their alligator. Do you think it was a pet alligator? Do you think it was a pet?
Yeah, I bet it was somebody who was like, yeah, check out this alligator, and then they left, and they're like, fuck.
They're halfway, like back to like Florida or wherever, and they're just like, oh shit, I forgot my alligator.
Found my alligator. Probably somebody's boots by now. God damn it.
Probably somebody's boots by now. All right. Things are surely tough out there. A shelter worker scours a bin of dog feces to find a toe to sell on the black market for $400.
Okay, so to find a what?
To find a toe to
A
sell for
toe, not a toad.
$400.
Not like a
No, a
frog.
toe.
A toe.
No, a toe.
Okay, so somebody ate a toe?
No. She was looking through the bin for a toe to sell on the black market for
I thought like
$400.
looking. What was she? What? Read the line again. It sounds like she was like looking through a pile of shit.
Yeah, she was scouring a bin of dog feces
Yeah,
to
dog feces.
find, yeah, to
Oh,
find a
so
toe
a
to sell
dog
on
ate
the.
a toe.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
So a dog ate a toe.
Wow, dude, I feel dumb. I didn't put that together. That's probably what happened.
Huh.
Maybe. I mean, that would make a lot of sense. I don't know. How would a toe end up in a bin full of dog feces? I think you nailed it. I'm gonna read it a little bit just in case, but that's crazy. Coming from Australia, a Melbourne mother who put a dead man's toes in a jar to sell them on the black market had a treasure trove of other oddities in her house. That's wild. This actually sounds like it would be just interesting in general for the other shit. Let's see. Pled guilty to a single
I wonder what
charge of
she does to
offensive
get
con.
those things.
Oh, involving human remains. Allegedly, she scours a bin full of dog feces, so that's the least she might do.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think she just like saw some guy screaming like, "Oh, that dog just ate my toe," and then
All
she just
right,
ran after the dog?
you hit the nail on the head. Two dogs that had partially consumed the toes after their owner died from natural causes were seized and taken for an assessment. So you hit the nail on the head. The dogs ate it. Sam Brooks said shelter staff cleaned up the vomit and placed it in remains which included two human toes in a general waste bin. When a distressed staff member left work early, Kinman remained behind the lockup, taking the opportunity to search the wheelie bin. He located two human toes and took them home and placed them in a jar containing formaldehyde. What the fuck? The following day, Kinman called her daughter and told her toes, saying she had researched selling them on the internet and believed she could get $400 for what? What a dummy. That's crazy. When police arrived and asked if she had the remains, the court heard Kinman pointed to a glass behind her where the toes were suspended in a clear liquid. The jar was positioned among other oddity items, including a pig trotter, an alligator claw, a bird skull, and baby teeth belonging to the accused children. Okay. The court heard further inquiries found Kinman was a member of Bone Buddies Australia, an online group for skull and bone enthusiasts to swap and sell specimens or share their finds with others.
All right, I don't want to hear about shit covered bones anymore.
So that was one. That was a crazy lady. Clearly just an insane person, right?
That was already like a whole bunch of bad things that you're telling me, and then I heard about the community, and I was just thinking like that whole community is just they themselves are one wrong decision away from becoming really, really, really bad people.
Have you
Some real awful stuff.
to take a real quick side thing real quick. You remember those two guys back in like the 1800s and they got hired by a doctor to like give the doctor no questions asked like remains. They were these two like low life like guys
Yeah.
and it was I think England and they would go around and they would just like they started just murdering people and giving them to the doctor so the doctor could like train all these like other doctors and like
Yes.
incoming students.
Yes.
That's that's like kind of like knocking on what those guys, eventually they're gonna start like going into their specimens a little too much.
I feel bad because I forgot the name of the movie, but there's this movie starring Charlie from Lost, and he's like a
Hmm.
grave robber, and it's all about just like stealing shit from people. But I think eventually they start just stealing bodies out of the grave. But it also makes me think of that Frankenstein show. I think it's Sean Bean stars in a Frankenstein show or something like a Frankenstein show. And he's
Hmm.
essentially just like a guy who's not dead, but also like you find him washed up ashore, and you're like, wait, is this a dead man? And he's just and uncovering this crazy conspiracy and mystery around people like getting murdered and people just it's essentially like a ring of I didn't finish it yet, but it's like
Hmm.
a ring of doctors who need body parts. They need bodies for their experiments. It's the same thing. Like
One thing
you ever watch The Green Knight?
I love the Green Knight.
Dude, how great is The Green Knight?
Fantastic movie. And what I really love about it is the little side things that he like encounters in the woods. I love that kind of
Exactly.
shit in movies. That's
Exactly.
my
That's what it's all
favorite.
about.
Literally, that's my favorite kind of shit in
Do you
movies.
remember
Like
the first
Jeremiah
thing that
Johnson's
happens to
like
him?
that. Doesn't he get mugged by Barry Kogan?
Exactly. Exactly. He
Yeah.
goes into he walks through an old battlefield and you don't even know how long the battle's been, but you just see there's corpses everywhere and these disgusting fucking people are just rummaging these corpses.
Hmm.
He's so naive that he just like and he's kind of like scared. He doesn't know how to treat these people and he just like it just gets worse. And it just gets worse and worse and worse. But
Oh yeah. Yeah.
imagine people like that, where they're kind of like talking to you too, and they're just gonna like kill you, steal everything you have, and then cut you up. And it's like, there's people who do that. There's serial killers who do that, and God, there's probably actual people who do that and sell it right now. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. 100%. There's a story I wanted to tell you about that I have an idea for. That's a multi-season, like at least 3 season story, and
Tell me about it.
I I don't want to talk about it just yet because I want to continue this just because of timing and
Oh,
stuff.
okay, okay.
Yep. But I'll let you I'll tell you about it after. All right.
Was
All
that a
right.
sneeze?
Yeah.
Bless you.
Thank you. All
Bless
right.
you. Hail Satan.
Yeah. Okay. Um anyways, next ne- next on that was great. All right. Next headline. I don't know if you want to talk about this one. I'm going to run through a couple quick. Uh there was a twin parasite surgery on a 17-year-old because I guess his parasitic twin that was still like stuck inside of him was like killing him. So we had to get it removed. Interesting little story there. Uh, the United States simulated assault on North Korea tunnels.
Like they're getting ready to invade North Korea.
I guess. Let me click that one real quick just to get an idea about that one. That sounds wild.
About goddamn time. They could probably take over North Korea with like rubber bullets. They could just roll in there, play paintball, and just fucking get them out of there. And give it to South Korea. Let the people become South Koreans. If they're getting ready to storm North Korea and take over North Korea, if we're gonna finally get them out of there, then let's just do it. Let's do it. It's gonna be so easy. We can do it with like rubber bullets. We could do it with fucking paintball guns
We can do it
and
with
like
rubber
walkie
bullets.
talkies. We just take North Korea over already.
Walkie
Because
talkies.
I don't know, maybe they've been hesitant. They're like, yeah, but that's still their country. It's like,
You're like, give the South Koreans some airsoft guns and have them go crazy.
no, no, no. South Koreans can sit back and just watch it happen. We roll in with paintball guns. We just start shooting people right in the forehead with paintball guns. And I'm not doing like a TikTok thing where I'm saying another thing, but I mean guns. I mean like literally
Paintball.
bring in CO2 tanks and fucking and paintballs
Yeah, paintballs
and just start lighting them up
with paintball.
and just everybody who doesn't approach you aggressively, just wave them to go behind you, and go one by one. Oh,
We
you're not coming to hurt us. All right, you're not going to get shot with a paintball gun. Now, come stand behind me.
Let me ask you something. Are we
I
gonna
know
like?
a lot about war.
Let me ask you something. Are we going to drop paint on them like in Vietnam when they used to drop like the napalm stuff? Are we gonna drop paint?
That's All right, now you're starting to remind me of the American Dad episode.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
So there's a great episode of American Dad, the only Seth MacFarlane show that I watch,
I love American Dad too.
and it's the paintball episode. They reenact the Vietnam War with paintball guns and
Oh
markers and shit.
yeah, with the Sharpies and stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
It was
I
great,
know exactly. That was a great that's kind of what I was thinking of too.
right?
That's true.
But they're actually taking over North Korea doing that. How cool would that be?
Oh, that would be awesome.
And
All
then
right.
when it's all done, we just like go back to South Korea, like, hey guys, we wanted to give this to you. Thanks for always being there.
And it's just a painted up mess, like it looks like a Jackson Pollock painting, but an entire country.
Yeah.
All right. Stolen gold toilet. Man found guilty over 4.8 million Oxfordshire
Wait,
golden
you don't want to
toilet
know
heist.
what happens to the people that fight back?
Yeah, sure. What happens to the people that fight back?
So as they gain territory in North Korea, we build a big bounce palace place, like a big like a trampoline park bounce palace place, and that's their prison. So we just light them up with paintballs, right, until they give up, and we arrest them, and then that's where they're locked away, and they're just stuck in a bouncy prison,
that's that's the best.
and everybody on the outside can kind of like see through, like they can kind of see them bouncing around in there, and
But
they can
they're
just talk to them.
zippered up. They're zippered up so they can't get out. They're zippered up from the outside.
Yeah, I mean, like it's think more like a big building. It can be a normal building, right? But inside is a lot of bouncy rooms and like big open bounce areas.
That sounds almost like a mental asylum, honestly.
Yeah, but they're just treated normally. They're just like given good food and treated well until they're like, you know what, is pretty fun, but I kind of want to get out of here and just live my life better. And that's how you get rid of North Korea.
So you're saying it's like a rehabilitation camp
Yeah,
that we would just like put them to all right. I get what you're saying.
yeah. There's no way they could ever fathom that this would happen to their country. So like they don't know what to think about. They wouldn't know how to react to this. You know what I mean? All the propaganda they've been fed, they'd be like, they'd never consider that we would do something so kind,
Car- so cartoonish.
so aggressively kind.
So aggressively kind. This is like how a group of hippies would go.
Yeah, I mean it'd be scary at first, but then like word would get
Hippies-
around that like they've taken, there's no casualties. They've taken
There's no
5,000
casual.
prisoners. We've heard back from all of them. They're all allowed to use phones.
There would be some casualties. I guarantee you somebody would slip on the paint and like hit their head or something.
Honestly, we might lose some people. They got guns, but we're still gonna roll in with paintball guns.
They got guns. We're still gonna
Yeah.
roll in with paintball guns. I love that. I love that. All right. So we mentioned the stolen gold toilet. Great. Uh Trump envoy says that Putin's not planning to invade all of Europe, so that's good. While this happens, Canada pushes their election further while tensions increase with the United States. That's a fun one. North Korean dictator says he strongly supports Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Fun. Boeing sued over whistleblower's death. Family files wrongful death lawsuit alleging harassment led to suicide.
I think that one of my favorite things to do is to just like think about things in the way that like nobody thinks about things, like purposely. You ever You know Randonautica?
Yeah.
So you know how there's two settings where like you just get like a random coordinate,
Hmm.
but then there's another setting where it it calculates all like the most common points and then only gives you the most uncommon points. So it like goes to the void areas, the places that usually don't get picked or have never been picked.
Yeah, they found some weird stuff there. There was like somebody that found like a dead body at one spot. There was somebody that found
How they
like
were, I don't know which setting they were
a lot of weird.
using, but yes, that did happen.
Hmm. Well,
But
exactly.
I like to just think about like the void chaos aspect of like a lot of things and
Hmm.
just have fun with that. You know, just think about things that you like in ways you're not supposed to, or people just don't ever like. Just think like, why don't people ever? Why have never people never thought about this? Why
Yeah.
hasn't this been done yet? Yeah,
I mean,
the
yeah.
thing I was talking about earlier is not one of them. It's pretty crazy, and I think it's possible, but that's not like a great idea.
What do you mean?
Taking over North Korea with paintballs. It's something I think is possible, but again, not a great idea. That's not a great. That was a chaotic thought that I had, and I really was like, having fun with, and makes sense, but it's not probably a good choice.
I think you're right about that. All
But
right.
it's like powerful thought though.
Taking over North Korea with paintballs, everybody. That seems like a powerful thought. It does seem like it would be a very peaceful way to end this whole conflict. We got a VR prison coming up. That's gonna come, in the future.
That's pretty relevant to what I was just talking about. Instead of like a bouncy house prison, you got VR prisons now, and they can like play fishing games and do
They
shit
can
like
play
that.
fishing game.
They can play Roblox.
Yo, that's actually a fantastic idea.
Instead of
Is
it
to
like instead of
yo,
it being like people locked away in like certain areas so they don't have to be in a real prison, they're in a real prison, but they're always in VR and they just can have fun in VR. But like, nope,
yo,
you gotta stay locked up.
you know what's probably gonna happen is this is probably gonna use like you're saying, but not like they're probably gonna lock these people into rooms, into cells where they're living out a virtual like hell and like a or like if this was the North Koreans, they would be going through like a rehabilitation like program in their heads in order to be reacquainted with like Western society.
There's gonna be like different aspects to it, and this could be the start of the Matrix. Even though like we might be living in a simulation right now, this could be the start of it.
Yeah, I mean we could be in a simulation.
But like think about it, like we could just once people just get thrown in prison and they're in a VR system, then I think people are gonna be much more willing to go to prison.
It says on top of which that a virtual 2.5 years into a 5-year prison sentence, Royale was about to see Thailand for the first time. When she put on the headset, Royale immediately had an aerial cove. So they are doing like you're saying. They're putting them through like more nice. In the boat was a
Yeah.
man with a backpack, and it was as if she were sitting beside him, accompanied with meditative music and narration. So in Thailand they're doing this, but in the United States it would be more like prison.
Well, like it's
It
kind of interesting. Like I don't know what this person did. Just, I'm imagining the worst kind of person, like irredeemable people. Just imagine their whole life was being in prison, right? But then
Mhm.
they get like certain parts of the day, or maybe even most of the day, where they're just in a VR system experiencing like really nice things, like really wholesome things, really like fun things, and it makes it like that lady not being able to, or a person. I forgot. Was it a lady or a dude you were just describing?
Yeah, as a lady.
So she imagine she murdered a person and she's just staring at this other
Mhm.
guy with a backpack on, and she maybe at first she had like urges to kill him, but like maybe over time she's just so happy to see somebody like that. She's like, I want to go out and actually go here. I want to actually see people and not hurt them. Just because she's so deprived of it, it's different from prison. Like prison, they're truly deprived and they don't have any glimpse of it. And then when they're thrown back into society, it's like such a shock. But it's like they can practice coming out into the real world.
and give them positive things to do out in the real world. Like if they're just fishing and going hiking, it's
Find
like,
new
oh,
things they love.
literally, like, oh, I love bird calling now because I discovered that in this simulated environment.
They've murdered people and they've like done really awful, god awful things, objectively evil things. Put a fucking chip in their neck, so when they do
Put a,
get out, they don't
put
have a
a,
fucking choice.
I I don't support that, putting a chip in
Why?
anybody's neck forcefully. But I see
If
where
what
you're
if what
going
if
there, and
somebody
I
like
like
murdered
it.
a whole family and did awful things to them? You still don't want them to have a chip in their neck so they don't do it again?
Shit. This is a moral dilemma, and I guess I'm so free bodily autonomy that I believe you should lock this person up, but you shouldn't put a chip in anybody. I don't think anybody's will, no
What
matter
if the
who it
chip? What
is,
if the chip's for parole?
is it still inside of them?
Yeah. What if like you get it taken out when like after like 2 years you haven't murdered or done awful things?
I still don't like that idea. I mean, yeah, great. They get it taken out after not murdering or whatever, but like, I don't know. I think VR prisons is a good idea, but chipping people and like, I don't know, changing their humanity and basically one turning them into a lab, but also just taking away their complete bodily autonomy at that point, because at that point a person knows,
You know how like
they're
people
gonna
say
know
like if you
everything about
steal,
them.
you lose a hand. If you lie, you cut out your tongue. That type of shit. That real
Yeah,
barbaric.
it's an eye for an eye. The Bible
What
said it.
if what if like only for the worst people again, just objectively evil people, people who have done irredeemable things. What if like you'd like kind of pick an aspect of them that you get to be like, no, well, you can't really, since you've stabbed so many people and ripped so many people apart, now you have to wear these iron gloves for the rest of your life that like are 20 pounds or like 50 pounds so you can barely use them, or like maybe just like they're like big permanent pillows around their hands. How about that? They have like a locks around their wrists and they have like pillows for hands and they're stuck with that.
I don't know. I still think that kind of takes away their bodily autonomy in a way, but I think just locking them in
Definitely,
a
definitely.
yeah, and that's something that I have a problem with, taking away anyone's, personhood, regardless of who they are. I mean, it seems like you could probably like put the worst of the worst, I think. And I still don't think that they should, unless you're planning on putting them up to what's the word, to a hanging or lethal injection or something like that. If you're going to commit capital punishment on this person, if that's a part of the law, the rule of law of this place, then I think capital punishment's okay. But if you're going to, make them integrate a part, back to be a part of society and go to prison and do time, I don't think that they should be chipped. I think that they should just be locked away and rehabilitated, possibly with VR.
Feel like being locked away for a longer period of time because you don't know how to keep these people from hurting people is worse.
I think you can understand, and I think that's where the issue is with a lot of these places, is they don't want to understand how to rehabilitate. They just want to. That's a part of the private prison problem. Like, all these prisons are for profit, and what they end up doing is wanting to be in the increase like increase the rules and regulate, or not regulations, but increase like the rule of law, make things more illegal so that they can stack up the prison so that they get more profit from the prison. It's just like it's an endless cycle, and people end up in prison for stupid shit, and you end up with things like, even with Democrats, you end up with like the three strikes laws in the 90s with Bill Clinton, and a lot of people got locked up because of that, and a lot of people got locked up for life because 3 strikes and you're out. Like that to me, that's a travesty. I think, you know, it's we should be working on trying to figure these people out. We shouldn't be trying to just them up and just farm them for money.
Oh yeah, I think we agree that, not to sound too cheesy, not to be too much of like a Boy Scout about this, but I think positivity is kind of what you need to help people that are bad. Like they need.
Exactly.
It's what sucks. It's like you want to punish them. You want to like, you
Exactly.
want them to get theirs, but that's not going to help them.
Well, exactly. And it's
It
not
helps
going to
them to
help
get them. It helps.
society.
It helps them to keep them away from people, so they can't hurt them.
It does, but
But
it
you need
doesn't
to
help
help them too.
society when they get out, because once they get out, they're just going to either go back to like some, rough ways, or they're going to just not understand how to integrate into society, or they're going to be all right. But those are the ones that make it through and do all right. They're not
Yeah.
every case is not like that.
So, what do you think is a better idea, VR prison or bouncy house prison?
I think a combination of the two. I think you hit the nail on the head when you said like a VR like prison, but like maybe you have the option to like go into like a bouncy house like simulation, or you have the option to do all this other stuff. Or
How do you
you know,
simulate a bouncy house without being on an actual bouncy platform?
what's funny is I thought about that while I was saying it. I'm like, wow, that I have no idea how I'm gonna answer this comes back at me.
I'm
Uh,
sure down the line they'll figure it out, but like, we need these problems to be fixed now.
I mean, they
We
probably
need
have like
fast
some.
solutions.
They, they probably have some kind of VR where like you can walk or like jump on the moon. That would be close to like a bouncy house experience.
Yeah.
It would probably just be like some kind of like 0G kind of experience or something like that. But yeah, I don't know. I think virtual prisons is a good idea, but I also like think that kind of sounds terrifying and dystopic.
If you use VR, you can't punish them with VR. You can't make them. You can't make them just go to 8 hours of school with VR. You need to let them have fun with very safe things.
Well,
You let them just
exactly.
like look at Google Earth or whatever, so they can go wherever they want, and look at stuff.
That's why I think it's a good idea, but I also think it's a slippery slope because this kind of thing can lead to brainwashing and just like crazy levels topic. Like,
It just turns into they're just being like fed 100 images per second in their eyes
well,
for
literally,
eight
it
hours
could
a day.
happen. Like
They're
that
like, yeah,
Danny
start a new
Phantom
VR
episode.
program.
Literally, it's just the flashing images, and they got their eyes like the
We got
clockwork
cameras in
orange
there when there's
wide
people
open.
on beds just looking calm and like they're just normal, but we don't see what they're seeing, and they just see like a Cthulhu eye and just a bunch of images flashing.
Yeah, that sounds very lovely, and that sounds like a great future environment for for prisons.
You only
Jesus,
if we had a prison like that, you'd only have to go into prison for like a week.
I just want to say something real quick and almost not breaking the fourth wall, but just like coming to terms with like society. Like we're heading in such a crazy technocratic like cyberpunk dystopic
Cyberpunk for
direction.
real,
Yeah,
for sure.
100%
Cyberpunk.
dystopic though. Also, we're heading in such a
Yeah.
crazy dangerous direction in all directions, not even just one direction. Like VR prisons is just one idea, but it's a part of like a grander thing that just sounds like just so like oh, the old ways are done. We're done with everything that you've experienced, all your comforts that you've ever had. Like it's this is the future. The future is now. Like we've entered the new
Nah, dude.
scary.
I at the same time, like as I'm seeing this like harsh futuristic world coming our way, I still think there's still stuff on our side. I think there's still things
I
we're
agree
gonna
with you.
use to thrive, and I think that once our problem is technology, I think we're gonna find some other ways to thrive.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I don't know. I'm not even thinking either about like the AI aspect of it. I'm just thinking too, like just the level of like just the level of like control and farming and just sheep that we can like produce with like just one little thing like this. And there's so many different things that are out there that can just lead to just rough scenarios like this, but it's wild to me. I don't know. We're just heading in a really, really, really I don't want to say dangerous, but a really weird direction for society in so many weird places in society. Like
I agree.
I was just thinking about this earlier today.
I think real quick side note,
Yep. Yep.
the reason why everything's going like this, I think that we're kind of all set on like we were kind of set off the rails. I think we were kind of on rails for a while, and now we're off the rails, but in
Mhm.
a less dangerous way. Just kind of like way more options now, or maybe
Mhm.
just like different kinds of options that we didn't have before. I think we're on one of those like void randomizer paths.
What do you think is coming next?
Oh man. Oh man, oh man.
I don't mean
Well,
like
once I get my work started, I mean, what
well,
else is there?
I mean like I mean let me rephrase that. Like we have VR prisons. That's the new thing. What do you think is the next new thing that is just going to be dystopic, but if used right, it'll be good.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that our initial instinct to just get out into space and to colonize planets
Hmm.
is a very good idea. I think it is what we should do. Um, and some people might think that's leading toward a pretty dark future where we're just kind of like a galactic empire, or maybe even just we're living in a weird dark dystopian future where we're on multiple planets but life still sucks everywhere. I just think that going out there, there's nothing wrong with that at all, and it gives us more room to grow as long as we're not harming other things that we meet along the way. And I think it's gonna be a long, long, long time. I mean, we would probably get wiped out before we have to worry about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree with you actually completely. And
But at the
my
same time, I also think that like they're trying to push us off the planet. They're just trying to make us sound like there's no room for us and we all have to die. There's just rich people who are like having TED talks where they're like, "Yep, so we have too many people now, and there's not enough stuff for everybody. So what are we gonna do? We gotta figure out ways to have less children. We gotta have to figure out like what the fuck."
no, we just got to figure out how to be better people. But that's what you know.
We have. I'm of the mind that we have plenty of things for everybody right now. That's not to say that we will run out of things for everybody.
We got plenty of bees.
At some point, many years from many, many, many years from now. But when we get to that point, we're going to be in space. We're going to be finding other things out there. We're going to be fine. We're going to be fine in that regard. But possible possible intergalactic empire turning evil, possible just like being wiped out by something. Like anything could happen when you start to venture out. Like three body problems, a lot about that.
I agree with you, and I've always thought that that's just a natural progression of humanity, and I thought that's just a natural progression of an intelligent species is that we
Yeah.
we venture
No,
out. And
exactly,
but
exactly.
but I agree with you in the fact that it can be flipped into being a darker thing because we could grow into, like you said, like a galactic empire and just like start pillaging and being the worst
Like
of the worst.
think about how some people feel left out by their government or like just forgotten by, and like they really like people who have a lot of hardships and feel like they're really being ignored by everybody else in the world or society, right? Now imagine that times 1,000, because the people who run the world are on a planet that's like light years away from you. Think about how shitty that would be, right? but it also could be great. We have no idea.
I think at that point it would be like Rome, right? Because Rome split into like different parts, and eventually it just kind of fell apart, and they all became their own things.
That's Star Wars right there. You know,
Well,
it's constantly
exactly.
just like that's just war amongst the stars. You know.
Yeah, well, what eventually happened is like whatever empire that like took over like the different planets, they would eventually develop into warring factions with each other.
Well, there'd be like a few of the factions agreeing like we need to change things, and then they start to like become a rebellion, and then once they topple the empire, now we have the rebellion being like, all right, now you get this, you get this, you get this, but we need to work together to make sure things work out, and then they all start to drift apart.
Well, they don't even like rebel in that kind of way. Like they just split off into like their own like subgroup, and eventually you just have like different subgroups of like what was once like humanity is now just like a scattered different like empires that are ruled by different like leaders that wanted to do things different ways.
Bunch of
Yeah,
shoguns, a bunch of space shoguns.
a bunch of space shoguns, just a bunch of clans. That's like Dune, right?
Yeah, kind of. It's all families.
I mean, eventually they're all going to be families.
Yeah.
If if that's the way it is. Let's see. CNN, MSNBC, dishonest. Trump says networks will be turned off. Looking great for our, there. Um, given the recent news about the text, the group text on Signal, it looks like Russian also was in the group text chat. Um,
Uh, there's just like a group chat, and who's in it?
So the group chat was this is like big news right now. The group chat is of all like I think it let me make sure, but it was JD Vance, the VP. It was all right, top Trump aide sent text on Signal. Flight data show a member of the group chat was in Russia. Mark Rubio also in the group chat. They what happened was they accidentally invite quote unquote accidentally invited a guy from the Atlantic who's actually like I guess he's a neoconservative, but I guess he's railed against Trump before and shit like that. But I guess he just immediately like took screenshots of all the things that they were saying about like all the war moves that they were like all the bombings and like air raids and shit.
How did he get in there? Somebody just accidentally added him.
Exactly.
Who did that? Do they know?
Oh yeah, they know. It was I think it was what's his name? Mike Waltz.
Has he made a public statement yet?
Oh yeah, he's made a public statement.
What he's saying?
He said that it's possible that what's his face, the journalist guy, hacked himself into the group chat, but it's not.
Yeah.
He basically is like trying to like deflect as much as he can. But just crazy stuff. All right. All right, coming from the Daily Mail. Secret CIA files claim Ark of the Covenant has been found from a remote view. The location of a chest believed to contain the Ten Commandments have been history, but CIA documents claim the Ark of the Covenant. According to the Bible, the Ark of the Covenant was built by the Israelites shortly after they fled Egypt around 13th century BC. Moses then placed the Ten Commandments inside. The CIA conducted experiments in the 80s with individuals who claimed they could receive information about distant events or other people. The report details one of these tests where remote viewer number 32 is given coordinates to locate a target, and they describe the Ark of the Covenant hiding in the Middle East. Some historians believe the Ark of the Covenant was originally kept inside the Holy of Holies, the innermost chamber of the ancient Temple of Jerusalem, before it disappeared during the Babylonian Jerusalem. Before it disappeared during the Babylonian sack of Jerusalem in 586 BC. There is also a legend that the artifact was taken to Ethiopia and now resides in a local church. I want to talk about that. Evidence that the chest existed has yet to be found, but the CIA document declassified in 2000 claims it was discovered in 1988. Why are we just finding out about this right now if it was declassified in 2000? The target is a container. The container has another container.
You know, now that I think about it, I think I've heard this before. Is this new?
This is a new article. I don't know why Daily Mail decided to talk about a 25-year-old document.
Did some new thing happen with this? Is there a new development?
They were not told they were searching for the lost ark. Apparently, some historians believe the ark remained inside the ancient temple of Jerusalem for centuries and then it vanished, but the CIA document remnant of the mysterious Project Sunstreak suggests the U.S. government has known where the ark is for years. Well, I mean, obviously, it's in Area 51. In the 1970s and 80s, the Defense Intelligence Agency and several other intelligence agencies, including the CIA, employed individuals alleged to have paranormal capabilities as means of acquiring intelligence about distant events. Project Sunstreak attempted to use psychics, known as remote viewers, to gather intelligence on targets using only coordinates. Remote viewers are supposedly able to project their consciousness beyond their bodies to observe a far-off location. Okay, you're just going to tell us that now? The CIA tapped these psychics for a wide array of hostages kidnapped by Islamic terrorists. I was trying to find the answer to your question, but now I've forgotten the question.
Is there anything new that's happened?
It
Is there going to
doesn't
be like
seem
an update to this story? Yeah, it sounds like somebody just like found this story and wanted to roll with it and get a new article in, but it's already been talked about.
Yeah, literally. All right, Daily Mail. Why you got to do me like that?
The article should have been a link to the original article.
Literally. Well, I mean, Daily Mail does what they want. It's in Science Technology. Why is the CIA document about the Ark of the Covenant from remote viewers in Science and Technology
I
section?
want to say that if anybody listening knows why this is coming up again right now and wants to tell us what we're missing, because we don't want to go all into this about something that all sounds familiar, please let us know, because I would love a development from this story. I would love to find out that one of those remote viewers is alive and he has more details. That would be cool.
You want me to I would also like someone to like comment below about that, or if they have any new information. You want me to do like a little bit of research and have that be like maybe an episode or something we talk about. All right, here's a new one. Climate change omitted from list of threats. Okay, fun.
Well, I feel like that we could have tagged that along with the Bill Gates thing.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Well, I mean, I just kind of threw these on the list, as they went.
I wish I saw that. Or maybe you said it to me earlier, but I wish I knew that. I could have mentioned that. Like we could bunch those together.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to probably start doing that. Try to like at least line these up by
It'd be
like
perfect.
how I mentioned like Canada and rising tensions with Russia.
We got lucky with North Korean tunnels into fucking VR prisons. You
Yeah,
got
that
lucky
actually
that
was
I connected
perfect.
that.
No, that works perfect. All right. We're definitely gonna have to integrate, and maybe I'll try to draw connections like that too, like ahead of time. Be like, oh, this might relate to this.
I don't know if anybody in the world would have ever thought that North Korean bouncy house prisons would be a thought.
It's funny too because it was the next article like on the list, so it wasn't just like, you know what I mean. It was like literally like the very next article that I had written down was the VR prison one. So that's great. And
What's
I had
next?
no idea of the correlation. All right. Honeybees' deaths hit record high.
Oh, yeah. Well, time to start cloning them.
Yeah, I think you're right. Cloning them and making it so their stingers grow back. Let's see. Trump wants to pull out of the IMF World Bank. That would be disastrous if it happens, apparently.
I hope that a whole new movement comes of this, and people are actually thinking like, yeah, we need to just make sure their stingers grow back. Let them sting us, and they'll go away, and they'll get their stinger back. Why are we making them? Why are we making them suffer and just die in front of us?
I'm in agreement with you. I think we
And
should
why aren't we
have.
cloning them? I feel like that's a whole separate group of people, but they really should work together.
I feel like that's a whole separate group of people, but they should work together. We should
Clone them
clone them.
and make their stingers grow back. Really
Yep.
give them a fighting chance.
All right. Those are wise words. Trump unveils a Black Sea deal with Russia. Uh, Putin vows to finish off Ukraine and mock size of British army after
What a slut. What a dirty little slut.
Putin's a slut. He's gonna finish off Ukraine. Mocks
He's got big
hey
nipples. Moving on.
mock size of British army.
Yeah.
Anyways, moving on. A 2,000-year-old statue was found abandoned in a garbage bag in Greece.
Somebody found a 2,000-year-old statue in a garbage bin
In Greece.
in Greece. Oh, wow.
That part of it.
You think it was just like a construction company that was just moving shit out of somewhere?
Oh, let's see if you hit the nail on the head. 2 for 2. Let's go for 2 for 2. A marble statue of a woman believed to be more than 2,000 years old found abandoned in a garbage bag near the Greek city of Thessaloniki, police said Wednesday. A resident discovered the 80-centimeter headless statue behind a trash bin in Neo Epivades, outside Greece's second-largest city. The man turned it over to authorities who contacted archaeologists to assess its significance. It's like this archaeologist is just bullshitting the guy. Police said experts following an initial evaluation determined the piece dates to the Hellenistic era, a period roughly between 320 and 30 BC that was marked by the flourishing of art and culture following the conquests of Alexander the Great. What a great guy. The statue was sent for further examination by archaeologists. It will ultimately be handed over to the local antiquities authority for preservation and study. Police opened an investigation, determined who discarded the statue, and briefly detained a man for questioning who was later released without charge. Accidentally, archaeological discoveries are relatively common in Greece, and a country renowned for its ancient heritage, often made during building construction or public works. Yeah, it makes sense. Hey, that's what you said. Building construction, public works. In December, workers installing natural gas pipelines near Athens uncovered a Roman-era statue of Hermes buried upright in a brick-lined pit near the Acropolis. Wow. All right, cool. So that was interesting. It seems like no answer there on how it was found, though, right? They just mentioned that a lot of the time that is how it's found. You said.
I just thought, let's get this out of the way and put it in the garbage.
Yeah, it could have even been up in somebody's up in somebody's attic or something like that. Just lying around, they're like, well, let me just toss this. This was grandma's old piece.
A giant marble statue just up in somebody's attic. How difficult would that be for you and a friend to like move out of there?
They'd lower it down like in a cartoon with those pianos. You know what I'm saying? And there would be some
Yeah.
guy like out on the street, like like saying, pull it, and the other guy's up on
That's
the top,
pathetic.
and he's like,
Whenever I think about people moving stuff like that, I think of videos of people just. This is one video of a guy just like moving a couch out of a window, and I have no idea what they're planning. But there's a guy below just ready to do something, and he just pushes the couch out of the window and just hits the ground and smashes. Like, what were you guys gonna do?
Holy shit. That
The guy would be like, "You ready? Yep, yep." Smash. Oh man.
um yeah, I mean that yeah. So that's the scenario I picture for that, and literally imagine they just tossed it out the window and like imagine.
Maybe that's what happened. Maybe they were like trying to steal it or something, and they just dropped it and it broke, and they're like, "Fuck, garbage."
Oh, that's a good idea.
Maybe it had a head.
Yeah, because it didn't have a head in that picture, right?
Maybe they kept the head.
Maybe. Just like at an angle, just like put it up on their bookshelf or something.
Yeah. Maybe it could talk.
Maybe it could talk. It told them to take the head.
Take me away.
A massive 7.7 magnitude a massive 7.7 magnitude earthquake hits Myanmar. That's crazy. Like what is it, what does the Richter scale go up to? Like 9 or 10?
I would assume 10.
I would assume 10 too. But like I've only ever heard of like 8 being like the highest. Like right?
What would happen if a 10 hit? What would a 10
It
be?
would well, that's a good question. What does a 10 Richter?
Something I'm surprised I've never looked up before.
I know, me too. I've never thought about that. Which it seems like that's a very plausible situation. All right. A hypothetical magnitude 10 earthquake, though unlikely due to the size of Earth's fault lines, would cause widespread devastation, including massive ground shaking, building collapses, and potentially enormous tidal waves. Tell me something I don't know. Lasting for a prolonged period, perhaps up to 30 minutes. Imagine if it just lasted a couple days. Isn't there a place that is constantly shaking too?
I don't
Oh
know.
yeah, California. Anyways,
Nice. Yeah, shaking their asses.
I just meant because the San Andreas fault line, but yeah, exactly. Extremely strong ground shaking, massive collapse.
They're shaking their ankles.
What is a magnitude 10 earthquake? Okay, here we go. This is an actual article. Quakes or tremors estimated the Earth is subjected to around 500,000 earthquakes a year. More than 127,000 and almost 16,000 people died in the entire main island of Honshu when a tidal wave crashed in and went 40 meters high. Due to a 9.1 magnitude quake, it only released about 3% of the energy of a theoretical magnitude 10 quake. But there's an upper limit to how much energy you can store in the rock. So, alright, interesting. Very large earthquakes release more energy, but is spread over a much longer section of fault line. It's doubtful that there are any fault lines on Earth big enough to release a magnitude 10 earthquake, but if one happened, you could expect the ground to shake just as hard as a magnitude 9, but for a lot longer, perhaps as much as 30 minutes. That sounds like nothing, but that would just like literally cause. And that pretty much did just say exactly what that other thing said, so hey. But that would be crazy.
What are the topics that remain? Let's go
Yeah,
through
yeah.
it. Then we can delete this whole part out.
Oops. All right. Putin warns of Arctic war if U.S. takes Greenland as Britain and France send reassurance force to Ukraine. Putin has said,
I don't want to talk about real war anymore.
I want to talk about real war every now and then. Because it's gonna happen.
And like, you should give your take, and then we'll move on from that.
All right, because the thing is that it's called As the World Burns.
Yeah, no, that's fair. It's just not my area of
No, I
expertise.
get that.
So like, just I won't be able to
I'm
like
the.
go
I
into it
think
with you.
I'm the government conspiracy guy of the two of us.
Dude, you love war
I love
films.
war films. I love Tropic Thunder. I love Platoon,
You love The Fifth
The Fifth
Element.
Element, yeah, Small Soldiers. What else was a war film? Gremlins. Um,
Um, uh,
AI. That was a war film, right? Real
Huskies.
Steel. Um,
What's that movie with Ben Stiller?
what? There's a lot of them with Ben Stiller. Tropic Thunder.
One where he's like he works at a fat camp.
Oh, Heavyweights. Yep, that's a good war movie.
Heavyweights. I called it
That's a really
Huskies.
good war movie. That what episode of Community where they paintball each other? Speaking of, that was a good war movie.
I forgot that existed. You know what? Maybe my paintball idea isn't so original.
Maybe by paintball. I was gonna bring that up earlier, but I didn't know if you remembered.
I mean, like really using
I know. I
paintballs, like
know. I
real,
know.
like to take over, like you know what I
Yeah, a
mean?
true story about that paintball episode is that's the reason why Kevin Feige hired the Russo brothers to direct Captain America: The Winter Soldier and Civil War. Yeah,
Hilarious.
that was the episode. He watched that and he said, "These are the guys I want." But Vladimir Putin has said the United States is serious about taking Greenland and warned Russia to protect its interest in the Arctic. Crazy. Uh, Unseen accelerators of climate change in the final unraveling. Earth's storage of water and soil, lakes and rivers is dwindling, and it's especially bad for farming. AI is actually a form of alien intelligence, Harvard professor claims, and it will surpass humanity. 24 hours to doomsday, Earth's brief window before stellar catastrophe. That's not really a news article, that's more just thing. European Union security stockpile war disease climate. Oh, this one's interesting. The European Union's telling its citizens to stockpile for 72 hours in case of a disaster.
Huh?
I think I didn't I send that to you?
I think so.
Let's see. That was a wild one. You see what I got on the screen?
Let me look. I remember you sending me this.
European Union urges citizens to stockpile supplies to last 3 days in case of crisis. The European Union on Wednesday urged citizens across the continent to stockpile food, water, and other essentials to last at least 72 hours as war, cyber attacks, climate change, and disease increase the chances of a crisis. The call to action for the EU's 450 million citizens comes as the 27 nation bloc rethinks its security, especially after the Trump administration warned that Europe must take more responsibility for it. In recent years, the EU has weathered COVID-19 and the threat from Russia, including in its attempts to exploit Europe's dependence on its natural gas to weaken support for Ukraine. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte has warned that Russia could be capable of launching another attack by 2030. All right. Fun. So they're preparing for all that war. Coming.
Nobody likes Russia.
Yeah, and we're side on a potential conflict, so isn't that great? Nobody likes the United States, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, doesn't Japan like us a little bit?
Yeah, Japan likes us. They're cool with us.
South Korea like us a little bit.
Yeah, South Korea does like us.
We really need to find our real boys. You know what I mean? Like find out who's really got our back. And we need to start really helping each
I
other out
mean,
and
Canada.
strengthening those
Yeah, I
bonds.
agree. Canada had our back about 2 to 3 months ago, for a while.
Yeah, I know.
um, let's see. There's only like 5 more articles left. Donald Trump pushes for near total control of Ukraine's minerals and energy and huge increase on earlier demands. Trump says U.S. will go as far as we have to go to get control of Greenland. Japan unveils first plan to evacuate 100,000 civilians from islands near Taiwan in the event of conflict. And Pyongyang debuts their first airborne radar plane and attack drone that looks awfully familiar to a famous Russian spy drone. Europe imports more Russian gas, aiding wartime economy, report finds. That was the last article, and I think that that's kind of funny because Europe's importing Russian gas while they're fighting a war with Russia, and the money that they're using to import the Russian gas, or the money that they're using to buy the Russian gas, is literally just going to feed the war in Ukraine. I mean,
Yeah.
it's crazy. What you got any topics for me that you heard about this? I'm down for a freestyle. Or let's end on a topic that I can find right now, real quick. Pope Francis wears chasubles with Terrapaka deity depicted, and it's just a picture of Pope Francis wearing a Terrapaka deity on his
Parapaka.
yeah. Terrapaka is viewed by the locals of Chile as a giant deity and possibly extraterrestrial. What significance do you think this has?
What?
What other abnormal secrets do
Wait,
you think the Catholic
what?
Church is hiding from the public? Do you see this post?
Hold on, let me go back to your screen.
All right, perfect. I got the perfect quick mix of articles, news articles. All right, let's see. Man reports sighting of winged humanoid near Wheeler, Indiana.
Go on then, let's hear about it.
This is from Sing14.com. Man reports sighting of winged humanoid near Wheeler, Indiana. Looks like Mothman from the picture. I was told recently to actually bring up Mothman. I think that's something that we can do an episode about too.
Mothman is really interesting.
Yeah, it is. What do you think Mothman is?
Man, I don't know.
Man, I don't know. Well, we'll have to get
Man,
into
I don't
that.
know. I think that like I don't know if Mothman's even real.
Oh.
I think that there's like I think that Mothman could be real, but I think what sometimes happens to reality is that like strange things will start to happen that make people think that crazy things are happening, and because they think crazy things are happening, it allows more crazy things to happen.
Mhm.
So I think that maybe they thought they saw a giant bird person, and then more giant bird people started to show up, and like maybe just like reality just kind of made that allowed that to happen, and maybe that like the fucking bridge fucking getting destroyed like really amplified that
Isn't there a word for
until like
that?
all sorts of weirdness was happening around that whole area. Like it was just as soon as the shit went down, it was like anything was possible. Everybody's going through really weird stuff, and not the same. It wasn't all Mothman. It was just really weird things happening.
Isn't there a word for that? The thing that you were describing where things start to happen because they're like basically mentioned, almost like a chaos theory kind of thing. Isn't there like a
Um,
I,
not just like not like manifesting it to happen, but just like I think that a big part of like people doing magic is like I told you before, like when I think we were talking about witch covens and like secret schools of people doing weird weird culty magic, and how like they're trying to alter reality and how hard it is for them to do that because they're not all on the same page, and like other people's perceptions can interact with how reality is, and it's very hard for people to get on the same page. But in that area it seemed like everybody got on the same page that some spooky shit was happening, so then it was a hot spot for spooky shit to start happening.
Mhm.
The randomizer was like turned up big time.
there's a lot of spots like that, like you know, Bermuda Triangle. There's that one off of Alaska,
Yeah,
Japan. There's a lot of spots that like have like an attraction of that kind of like spooky, like weird shit.
I think that if Mothman existed, he was allowed to exist because people started to think that something like Mothman could exist.
Mhm.
And not that like he started to exist. I guess I just mean that it's possible that he started to exist or he passed into our world because it was possible for him to exist in our world. Or he didn't exist at all.
I want to know if he does exist, what he would possibly be, because he wouldn't be like he's a cryptid. He wouldn't be like Bigfoot or anything like I mean Bigfoot's I guess technically cryptid too, but like there's no like feasible explanation that I can think of Mothman. And this is gonna be kind of random, but I actually had an idea for a Mothman movie when I was in high school. I don't know if I want to mention it, but
It, Moth
yeah.
Mothman's like he's pretty vague looking, right? Like he's just like a dark silhouette of a giant person with wings. And like he has it almost looks like he has no head because his eyes seem like they're in the center of his chest.
No, no, his eyes aren't in the center of his chest. His eyes aren't.
Are you sure?
Yeah, his eyes are on his head and they glow red. That's the famous thing.
No, they do glow red, but look that up. I'm pretty sure the original sightings, he didn't have a head, or like at least his head was essentially his torso.
No way. Well,
Look it up. Look it up. Look that up right now.
I don't know about that. West Virginia folklore,
Seriously?
humanoid creature reportedly seen in Point Pleasant area from November 15th, 66 to December 15th, 67. Despite its name, the original sightings of the creature described avian features. What if this was an alien that just was like stranded and then eventually just died?
I mean, maybe an alien to this dimension. I have no fucking clue.
I was just thinking an alien because, like, supposedly aliens are just dropping here, like, left and right, just falling out of the
Yeah,
sky. What if this one was maroon?
but I don't think he died. Like, there's no evidence that this thing died here. There's no
Is
evidence
there
for that.
evidence that it's still alive, though? That's what I'm saying. Like, what if this
It could just phase back to whatever reality it came from.
that could have happened too? But, like, it could have been like an alien that crash landed over here that just escaped, capture from the government, and it just wound up in the woods, and eventually just people, it either starved to death or it like died from something, and that was it. Or like you said, it just faded back to its other dimension.
Let me try to find some of the original drawings of the description of Mothman.
Let's see. The creature was introduced to a wider audience from the
Yes, this is the original sketch. Look up original Mothman sketch. Look that up right now on Google and look at the images.
original.
Look that up, and I'll tell you right now that Mothman could just be a giant owl, and not like a normal giant owl. Like maybe it's a giant human-sized
Oh,
owl, and it's terrifying.
yeah,
And maybe it's sentient. Maybe it has weird abilities, and maybe it's fucking
maybe.
psychic.
But
I have no clue.
yeah, you're 100% right. It looks like somebody just saw like a really big owl. There's videos of really big owls, aren't there?
The original sightings, the actual sightings from this thing, were like that.
Hmm. Largest owl. Largest owl ever. Extinct Cuban giant owl. Nearly flightless bird that stood about 3.5 feet tall and weighed around 20 pounds. I mean, that's not that big, right?
Pretty,
I mean, yeah.
that's pretty
Is
big
it?
though.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the size of a child, right? So that's the one, 3.5 feet tall. So
That's the largest one known to fossil record. Interesting.
how big was Mothman?
Mothman was like at least human
If
height,
not bigger.
so at least 5 feet.
Yeah. 6 to 7 feet tall with a wingspan of up to 10 feet. Now that could have been exaggerated, or what? Let's say if this was a one of these owls, maybe it wasn't even like this owl. You know how we did the woolly mice? Remember the woolly mice? What if an owl naturally just developed a mutation in it where it actually had this dormant gene ancestor way back, and
For
you know
sure.
what I mean, and it just expressed this gene.
But also, what if it's more than that? What if this is just a giant owl being that is sentient and is psychic and is foretells doom? It's a sign of doom to
Is it
come.
a sign of doom to come? I forgot about that.
Sort of.
I think I did hear something about that. That a lot of bad shit happened around this thing.
You know what my favorite cryptid is?
What is it?
The Thunderbird.
The Thunderbird. So you believe in the Thunderbird?
I absolutely believe it's possible that there was a giant fucking bird that, for if it flew over you close enough, would just black out the sky.
Yeah, pterodactyl.
I 100% believe that is. Well, no, I'm talking like a bird that a human may have seen.
What if Thunderbirds are actually extraterrestrials disguising themselves as birds in order to make us believe?
That'd be cool.
You know how they say that that they disguise themselves as drones?
Yeah, like I mean, the whole idea, the owls are not as they seem. The idea that fucking owls are aliens and they they brainwash us into thinking that they just look like owls. And there's a lot of things that reference that. But what I'm trying to say is that this like storm calling giant big black bird, and then you also have the giant owl bird, and they have cool mystical abilities. It's not just that there could be like an animal that existed like this. It's like this is an animal that's essentially like Native Americans would think this is like a god. Maybe they did. I think the Thunderbird might be connected to Native American legend. I think it might
I think
be.
you're right.
But it's so much more than just did this thing. And that's kind of starting to happen with Bigfoot. Like my whole life I've heard of Bigfoot as like, hey, maybe it's the missing link. Maybe it's like some sort of ape man or like some weird beast man. But now people think that he is interdimensional. It might be an alien or something. But I digress. That's just a fun little like a nice little connection there, that Bigfoot isn't just an animal anymore. He could have mystical abilities or crazy psychic abilities or interdimensional travel abilities. You know what I mean?
And that's why he evades capture all the time and being seen.
Yes.
That would make sense.
Yes. Or he just doesn't exist.
Exactly.
But we don't know.
Or
It's
he just
possible.
doesn't exist.
It's just a possibility that he exists.
That he exists.
I just reminded myself that I'll do like a little reference to something else. But you know the last podcast on the left.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it was called this, but they did a whole segment and they were calling Mothman, and I think they might have mentioned the Thunderbird, and there's a few other ones, and they're all large bird cryptids, and they're now called big hoots.
Big hoots.
Instead of, like, you know, there's Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Big hoot.
Big hoots.
Isn't that cool?
I like that.
Isn't that fun?
That is fun. Huh.
That's the kind of stuff we need.
We need more big hoots.
We need more of that in the world.
We need to connect like more like cryptids to each other and group them like that, like the Jersey Devil and the Chupacabra in the episode with Los Dios.
Yes.
You know?
Yes, dog demons.
Dog demons. Oh my god.
Give me some more, dude.
What are some other ones? Dog demons.
Wait, could we call them hellhounds? I don't know. That's too trademarked.
That's too
Let's
trademarked.
not do that.
Dog demons is like perfect, honestly. That's like a great name. I would also say what else? I mean, Bigfoot comes in all shapes and sizes. No pun intended.
It's like there's ape men. You know?
Yeah, well, exactly. There's like white ones. There's like skunk apes. The white ones being the Yetis.
Boggy Creek one.
The Boggy Creek one. There's. What about would this fit into the Chupacabra?
There's tons of, dude. There's so many. I mean, maybe I don't really think so though.
Isn't there a wolf of like Bridge Road or something like that, or Ridge Road somewhere out in like the like Midwest?
I think dog is significantly different from Bigfoot, because then like werewolves.
No, I know.
That's never confused with Bigfoot or even like related to Bigfoot.
No, I know. They're very, because Bigfoot's always like more like peaceful or like screaming, and dog like creatures always like getting pissed with red eyes and shit. But that's what I mean. Like, would that be considered Bigfoot? You know what I'm talking about? There was like a werewolf story in the Midwest where the person thought. Ugh. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No. I had an idea just now, though, dude.
What?
How well versed in Game of Thrones are you?
Oh, it's called The Beast of Bray Road. And how well versed of Game of Thrones am I?
Yeah.
Not that well versed. I know the probably, you know, the basics.
So the show leaves out a lot of it, but all the children of the Starks, like all the main, like Jon Snow, Arya Stark, you've heard of them, right?
Yeah, I know the names.
Bran, the one who's in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
So in the books, they're all psychically and telepathically connected to their wolves. And that's because they're all, I think they're called green seers, or maybe not that. It was, they're all, fuck, what's it called? Mix it up with something else,
Yeah.
but they can all connect with animals, and they don't know that. It just only happens because they so happen to find a litter of dire wolves who are also like a mystical creature.
Yeah, that's why the dire wolf like rescues or attacks that, you know, the really fucked up looking kid king, and while the other chick is like laughing.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So it starts there. But like in the books, they have visions, they'll have dreams, and it's in the point of view of their dogs, and their dogs are actually out in the world doing
Mhm.
shit. And like it's not just that though. There's other people in the world who can do this, and they make connections. There's like one Varamir Sixskins can do it with like multiple people. Well, not multiple people, with multiple
Mhm.
animals, and he even tries to do it with a human. That's what Bran does to Hodor. Bran has a connection with his direwolf, but he also forms a connection with Hodor. And in the show, it's revealed that like that's what happens to Hodor. That's why Hodor is so fucked up in the head.
Mhm.
So all this is like telepathic and psychic connections between beings, right? What if in the real world there's a lot of cryptids that seem like they're mystical and seem like they're like sentient? And maybe it's because that is possible. Like if we're just discovering the psychic capabilities of humans and how like real out there it actually is, then like just think about how psychic animals can be.
Dogs bark during disasters and birds fly.
Not just that. Think about like consciousnesses that like exist after death, or like things that linger almost like a ghost, or say a demon, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, right? What if like that could do a sort of like a skin changer, like hop into the consciousness of or take over as the consciousness of a wolf or of like another creature? Like maybe what if that's what fucking skinwalkers are?
That would be crazy.
It's all like psychic shit. It's all just like people psychically interconnected. And that's what like crazy like dreams are, when you have crazy prophetic dreams, or like when you're connected to other people by dreams.
Oh yeah. I have dreams like that. Have I ever told you that?
I think so.
I'll randomly get a dream, and it won't even like a dream or anything. Like it'll be almost like I'm looking at a picture of like a situation either months or years later. I'll all of a sudden experience like that same exact situation. I remember I was living in a tropical place at one point, and when I was a
He was living in New Mexico.
yes, exactly. I was living in New Mexico. And I remember before this I was living in a more temperate region, so more foresty, and I had a dream that I was looking at a slot.
Living in Canada.
Exactly. Nailed it. I was living in Canada, in the beautiful 51st state of Canada, and I had a dream that green door and a bunch of little like and random little like reptiles were like just running around, and I was just cool, and I just looking around, and I saw a patio front. And then years later, or not even years, probably like a year or two later, I'm looking at this place in New Mexico, and I see the sliding door, I see the patio furniture, and I see all those little creatures just running around, the little echo things, and it all like just hit me all at once. Like I had an immense deja vu moment. And like sometimes I'll get deja and it'll be like it won't be like that. It'll just be something that just all this feels familiar. But sometimes I'll get that exact scenario where I have a dream and then later on I've seen this. I don't know. I wonder about that sometimes.
The little things like that, and it's hard to grasp for me. Like I just know it keeps happening. It's like you said, like it feels like deja vu.
Oh, exactly.
It's like you know in the moment you're like, "Whoa, that's fucking crazy," but then like just life goes on. And that's just one split second of a memory.
You know what's funny about that is a lot of the crazy mystical spiritual experiences I've ever had in my entire life, whether drug related or not, they've had like an air of deja vu to them. Even if that's a very, very tiny amount, there's always been a feeling of familiarity in the scenario. Even if every time it was a totally odd situation, there was always that feeling of like this, I feel like this has happened, or I feel like I felt this vibe before. I don't know. Maybe that says more about
It's
me.
interesting.
What is it?
Um, I said that's interesting. I was gonna ask, any plans or any like I don't know, any thoughts about your past dabblings with, uh, you know, doing some crazy shit?
I never like dabbled like that much into anything like that. It was more of like reading and trying to gain knowledge about things instead of putting things into practice. So
Tried to like reach out and contact anything.
I don't know. I mean,
You definitely tried to do that with aliens, right?
oh, most definitely. I've
Why don't you start treating those things one and the same and just like be open to anything and just be ready?
I guess sometimes when you're alone and you look up at the sky and you just suddenly think in your head, you're like, well, maybe I could just push my emotions to the forefront and just think, oh, come here, see, I want to see you. I want to experience firsthand the the experience of seeing a UFO. I want to understand. I want to just have a fleeting glimpse of that other side. And I've done that with the paranormal, but I haven't really done that with the occult, if that makes sense, even though, there's similar things there. Does that make sense? I also, if I'm also like very agnostic, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Listening, I don't know what the hell's going on in this universe, and I would never pretend to know.
No one knows what's going
Well,
on.
exactly, and I don't think I could ever pretend to know like I have any answer to anything. I always say I'm almost positive when I answer anybody for anything, even if I've seen something myself. And I still give the answer. I'm almost positive because I don't even know if I'm in a simulation or I'm in a coma somewhere, and this is all just a dream. Like we don't really know what it really is.
A VR prison,
Yeah, we could.
and you had no
I
idea.
could be in a VR prison right now, living out
Dude, you
a
could you,
scenario.
you you could be in like a 3,000-year-old sentence in a future VR prison, and you have no idea that you're actually like in torment for 3,000 years.
Yeah, locked into my Samsara.
Yep.
I think,
Well, like,
yeah.
hey, dude, lighten up. It's gonna be all right. Crazy shit's gonna
Lighten
keep
up, it's gonna be
happening.
on.
It's gonna be like fireworks. The reality is like fireworks now.
Yeah, no, I don't doubt that. I'm sure, there's amazing things planned for humanity.
It's it's
I
it's
don't know if
it's
they're
less like
good or
fireworks
bad,
and
but
more
they'll
like
be
just like a
amazing.
regular explosion, actually, just like a crazy natural gas explosion.
A really large natural gas explosion
Yes, and like a lot
that
of like
erupts
a lot of crazy
everywhere.
things underground that People forgot. People forgot about.
Oh, you should probably get more into this with me,
Yeah.
but you know, we're gonna get crazy natural gas explosions. So what are you saying? Like the rapture is gonna happen?
I don't mean that literally. I mean like the way things are changing. Remember how we were talking about like how things are opening up in possibilities while I was talking about that, and how like just very strange reality seems now, and how like
Yeah.
everything's out there. Everything's like taking the craziest, wackiest path.
Well,
I think that
it
that's I'm just describing it as
exactly.
like an explosion. Like everything's just like lighting up on fire like crazy, and everything's gonna change, and everything's gonna be different. It's gonna be wild. And obviously,
Well,
like everything's always doing that, but like you know, it's been accelerated. You know, shit's happening.
I agree, but that's what I was saying when we were talking about the VR prisons, and I just almost like had like a moment of like dread, but also wonderment for the future because, like I said, like we're going down like you said, and I said the same thing. Like we're going in so many different directions. You said paths. I said directions. We're going in so many different directions that it's almost like gonna lead to like utter chaos for society. But it's also kind of just it's amazing. It's amazing what's gonna happen, but we'll see,
I don't.
right?
It could maybe it does like blow up or something. Truly, like the way things are. I don't think it's a too chaotic thing. I don't think it's going to be too chaotic. I think it's just all going to be brand new and different. But maybe it is too chaotic. I have no idea. That could happen. It could just be that like things are getting really chaotic and it's all going to turn into spaghetti and just bleh, like the fucking like the timelines in Loki.
Yeah.
It's but I just think it's new shit that we're not used to, obviously, but like a lot of it in every way. All the things that we have been used to, even though they've been changing, like there's still like a setup to how everything is. I think that's all gonna go away. But then at the same time, I think that like the like the tech giants and like the big tech overlords, I think that will be a constant for a while.
Yeah, I agree
I
with you.
think you might see like the businesses eat each other and like the tycoons come and go. And like I think you're gonna start seeing more CEOs. Like I told you that I think that fucking CEO nation that they try to make it they try to play it as like a the people rising up against it, which it very well might be that. I think that's most likely the case that it was just like somebody standing up against you know fucking evil insurance company, but it's
Hmm.
also very possible but that it was one company that was going after another company. It could have been that the CEO is dangerous and to another company or to another person, and they just want to get rid of him. And this is corporate assassination and corporate espionage and that level of shit. And then again, that's very cyberpunk, which is where I think the world is going. I think that it would make sense for things to happen like that more often. You know, like
I think, yeah,
Elon Musk might start having more protection than the fucking president has, just because he's gonna
he has
fucking
more
need it.
power. Yeah. No, I think you're knocking on something there, and you're right. Honestly.
I really like,
Well,
and I told you before in a previous episode that I think that cities are actually going to start being like they are in the game Cyberpunk, in the world of Cyberpunk, where they have like these new
mhm.
cool names. I think that there's going to be new cities built, or cities are going to change their names, and like how some cities are just burning down and they're like building new cities. Like they could just change the name of the city. Like that's what it used to be. This is the new name, the new chapter, whatever the fuck.
Remember we were talking about how South Carolina was gonna get destroyed, and we were gonna get Neo Tokyo.
Exactly.
All right. Well, cheers to Neo Tokyo. Any last words too?
Where do you think? What do you think? Where do you think Neo Tokyo would be if it had to like, not that it's replacing a town or replacing a city. Maybe it's replacing a much
saying
smaller city, but like it's not erasing them. It's not erasing like
if you ever
not
said
replacing New York
real quick,
City, not replacing LA, not replacing Austin, not replacing any of those cities, like a new city, where would you put it and where should it be?
not replacing any of those cities, where would I put a new Tokyo? Well,
Or
I'd probably
other
put it
major
in.
cities.
I mean, I'd probably put it in Japan.
No.
You know where I would have put a new Tokyo? I would have put a new Tokyo in downtown Hiroshima in 1944 or 1945.
No.
That's not a good answer. I thought that was a great answer.
Answer would be like, well, the answer I'm looking for is like,
Nagasaki.
no, is like,
Wherever Metropolis is located, Kansas.
yeah.
New Neo Tokyo would be Kansas.
Real talk, if Canada becomes part of America, of the United States, there's a lot of room to divide that up into more states and more cities.
I love how we're having a serious discussion, and I mean that completely earnestly. We're having a completely serious discussion about how Canada might be the 51st state, or possibly the 55th with all the other places that are within Canada, like you're saying. That's insane. We live in a time where we're talking about how Canada and Greenland might be invaded by the United States, or
Why don't
just
take
we might go
Greenland?
to war with them.
We should
Yeah, I
definitely
mean
take
that's where
Greenland.
Mars is. That's where
What?
Mars is, dude. That's where Mars
What are you
is.
talking about?
You didn't know about that?
No? What the fuck are you talking about?
Dude,
You got a weird voice when you start
Green
saying that.
Greenland is Mars.
Like that's where they filmed Mars?
Greenland is Mars.
What are you trying to tell me right now? I
I'm
don't get
trying to
it.
tell you that
Flat out, I don't get it.
Greenland is Mars. When you look and you think that you're looking at Mars, what you're seeing is Greenland.
Why? Explain it.
You're also seeing Canada.
What?
So, all right, let me show you
What are you
quick
talking
thing.
about?
You've never heard of Devon Island?
No.
All right.
What? Is
NASA's
this
make
wait, hold on. Is this flat Earth?
no.
Okay, continue then.
I mean, I'm sure this overlaps with flat Earth, but
Oh,
I
it's
don't.
part of flat Earth, isn't it?
No. I don't believe in flat Earth at all. But I
Earth's
think this
actually
could be a thing.
concave.
No, what this is to me is this is like the moon landing hoax. This is like the idea that we just film shit. That all right. So what I got out of this is
this
that
is
we
what I
went.
was just asking though. This is exactly what I just asked, which is that is this where we like filmed Mars?
Yeah, no, I was trying to add suspense by
By
leaving you like.
letting me keep guessing like I was wrong right there.
Yeah, I didn't say you were wrong. I just let you I just let you keep guessing. But yes. So this is a theory that's been actually like really like popular lately, but it's been an old theory. NASA is making believe the rover, except it's on Devon Island, Canada, because they don't want to see the pyramids and ancient Nazi bases on the actual Mars. The one job of NASA is the mass believe we don't already have, especially with energy tech. The plebs get nothing. The plebes. So here's some pictures of Mars, and they show a little a little creature in one of the pictures of Mars, and it's a lemming, an Arctic lemming, the same creature that's on Devon Island, Canada. But there's a lot of interesting little stuff about this. I did like a deep dive on this after I saw someone who went to Google Earth in Greenland, and they found a Mars rover, and they found a truck there next to the Mars rover that said Mars Society, and it said NASA on it. It had a NASA sticker on it. Yeah. I'll send this to you because this was pretty
Talking
wild.
about this.
What is it?
We should have been talking about this.
I thought I wanted to make this a whole video. This is kind of actually why I got into when I put Chat GPT, like all my notes into Chat GPT. It was actually partially because of this, because a lot of this gets into like Saturn and stuff like that.
All right.
But they basically like the theory goes is that we have ancient Nazi bases on the moon and Mars, fake the moon landing, and why we basically like we're faking the Mars rover. We want people to go to Mars. They basically don't want to drop the bomb on them, an ancient society on Mars, or like there was an ancient Nazi base on Mars and the moon that they don't want anyone to know about.
I told you how I feel about this in like the first time, I think the first recording we ever did. And that's that I think that a lot of these conspiracies lead to Nazis. And that's just to make Nazis feel cool. And I think that Nazis did not pull off any of this.
I don't think it's to make Nazis feel cool. I think it's more of Nazis had a lot of weird connections to the occult, but also to afterwards the United States and the Russian government, both of which were working on like UFOs and stuff like that, and both of which, if they had, you know, Nazi occult, you know, worshipping guys, like we know that they, United States, we know they had occult worshipping Nazi scientists, Werner von Braun, namely the father of modern rocketry, literally an occult worshipping Nazi that on his deathbed said to what, his daughter, I think it was, that the United States was going to stage an alien invasion, and it was going to basically, or not stage, but fake an alien invasion. It was going to be called Blue Beam. This was something supposedly he said on his deathbed. It's like, these guys, if anybody knew, I think aliens existed before, I think it's one of two people or one of two groups, if not both groups. I think it's the United States government and it was the Nazis. You know, fuck the Nazis. Like, but they got into some weird shit. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely.
You know, they were the only openly occult government that was, I guess, like a Western government. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they also just seem occult to us because they seem fairly modern versus like because we exist at the same time as them, and they were like their government was about these weird occult beliefs, but like so are a lot of governments that believe in religions. Like China wants to control the reincarnation of the Dalai Lama.
Yeah, but that we figured out that was a misnomer or something like that. Like that wasn't like exactly what they meant by that.
But at the same time, like that they still it's I think about how much of their country is based around the reincarnation of somebody.
No, I understand that, but like Nazis literally went to Antarctica because they thought that something was there. They went to what do you call it? They supposedly uh talked about like all this weird technology owned and developed. And you know, I'm not trying to give any, and credibility goes to Albert Einstein. Isn't he the one that like the plans for like how to split the atom and went to the United States after he realized that like Hitler would use this to basically like control the world? But that brings credence to the fact that Hitler probably had crazy scientists that were going with his game plan, down with aliens and down with all this stupid crazy shit. Again, I think Hitler can go fuck himself and burn in hell, or you know, rot in the ground,
Or I hope he dies if he's still alive.
yeah, I hope his head turns to I hope his head gets melted by the Helios death ray.
Whoa.